Welcome back to the Dynasty Rewind YouTube channel. My name is Bob Van, and today we are here to rock out another Dynasty Rookie mock draft with some of the members of the Dynasty Rewind team, as well as some reserve patrons. And then we are going to be doing a Superflex, no tight end premium, 0.5 PPR mock draft, and that's going to start right now. All right, here we are in the draft room. As you can see, I have the number 2 spot. I'm basically drafting there because I know Trevor Lawrence is going to go number 1, as he should, and then I'm going to take the quarterback of my choice. But as I said, this is going to be super flex, no tight end premium. We're not getting too crazy, and then 0.5 PPR. So I'm going to start the draft, and we are going to see where Porkman goes with pick number 1. And I'm guessing it's going to be Trevor Lawrence, as it should be. He's going to be a revitalization to that franchise, in my opinion. And he should be the 101 in all your drafts. In my opinion, he's easily the safest pick. If you need a guy that's, darn near going to be a guaranteed shoe-in pick at a quarterback position, you need, and in a superflex league, you need quarterbacks in a superflex league. So for me, Trevor Lawrence makes sense. But Pork, you are punk. I know he did that just to piss me off. Justin Fields is a quarterback I was going to go with personally, and you're seeing it now with all of the hype coming out around Justin Fields that he's truly showing up in camp. He's already wowing coaches and all that. And I think he has a chance to really put that franchise on his back. And it makes me sad because I'm a Packers fan. So seeing not only I've been trying to draft him everywhere, so I feel better about when he's beating up on my Packers for the next decade or so. But he's easily the best quarterback that Matt Nagy's had to work with as a head coach. Mitch Trubisky just wasn't it. Nick Foles, not great. And then you look at all the backups they've had run through there over the past couple years as well, due to injuries, whatever the case is. That is what it is. But Justin Fields, the fact that he's already showing up in camp, his teammates are loving him as a person, as a player, and that all will play a pretty heavy role in that going forward. I'm pretty upset with Pork there. Not gonna lie, he knew it. He knew I went at the 1-2 specifically to be able to take Justin Fields, and sometimes that just it do be like that. Sometimes, Matty takes his guy Zach Wilson at number 3. The one thing I'll say that's weird about Zach Wilson is that there's a lot of hype on him, or there was post-draft at least, that always the next Pat Mahomes, whatever comp you want to comp him to, if he's more of a Russell Wilson, whatever the case is. But what's interesting to me is you're almost hearing more come out of camp about Elijah Moore, Michael Carter, who I'm sure we'll talk about plenty in this draft, as opposed to Zach Wilson. And I know he's the one kind of slinging the rock around, so it should be assumed, but it's like and maybe I'm just living under a rock, but to me, that is interesting that he hasn't been such a focal point on that team or in the news out of camp. So that's interesting to me, that you would think there'd be more hype coming out of camp on Zach Wilson than Elijah Moore and Michael Carter, who I love, by the way. But then we see Trey Lance. That's probably one of the more interesting lineups I think you'll see when it comes to quarterbacks coming out of your drafts. The way I've seen it go is usually Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Lance Fields is usually the way I see it go. And then Trey Lance, kind of the same story. You haven't heard a lot out of camp about him. And again, I'm not on the West Coast, and I'm not on the East Coast, so maybe I'm just kind of not hearing a lot about it. But to me, I wouldn't be concerned. I'm definitely not at the point of being concerned. That you're not hearing like with Jordan Love, like out of Green Bay, where he's struggling one day in practice and then he comes back and shows out well in the next practice. But then we see Najee, as rightfully so, come off the board. Javonte Williams, Kyle Pitts, ETN, Devonta Smith. I'm shocked to see Jamar Chase still on the board, even in a super flex. It is surprising to me. I don't think he makes it past Chev. Yeah, no, as he shouldn't. He should, in my opinion, I have him well over Devonta Smith. The size is a concern for me. Put your pitchforks away, please. But it just is. The fact that they can scheme him up all they want, but at the end of the day, he's going to have to compete with bigger players and whatnot. And yeah, he can avoid them. And for me, it is what it is. It's something for me. If somebody wants to go draft him, cool. But I'm not going to put him over Jamar Chase under any stretch. He would be my wide receiver too still. But then we see Mac Jones, our 5th quarterback, come off the board. Jalen Waddle, Jamar Chase before Jalen Waddle. Jamar Chase, as you can see, is coming up as a steal of the draft. Absolutely. I've seen him go much earlier than that. And now I am up and not anywhere near ready for my pick. Pork is just a punk who I'm never going to let draft in front of me again because Michael Carter is my guy. Before I get too crazy, I'm going to take Elijah Moore. I haven't gotten a lot of Elijah Moore shares this offseason, and it kind of makes me sad. And I think the reason being is usually where I'm drafting, I'm just not in a good position to take him. But again, I had mentioned that there's a lot of noise coming out of camp that he's just every day, he's the one impressing. He's the one, taking all these red zone snaps and getting all these touchdowns in the red zone practices and stuff like that. So for me, Elijah Moore is, I wouldn't say a huge value going as a wide receiver 4 in this draft. I do like him over Bateman, and I loved Bateman as a prospect. But when it comes to the situation, you look at Baltimore, just because they add a bunch of receivers doesn't automatically mean there's going to be more volume in that passing offense. Sure, it can help Lamar Jackson look better, and I think it's something that I think you should look at it more of helping Lamar Jackson than you should it helping Rashad Bateman or Marquise Brown or Hollywood Brown. I just don't see the massive upside there. And on the same note, I think it hurts like Mark Andrews too, who has been the volume leader in terms of value. But at the end of the day, it's like I'm just not a fan of that Baltimore offense. And they got a new passing coordinator in there, a new I don't think they have a new OC, but they have, they're revitalizing that offense in a way that hopefully shouldn't make it so predictable and so kind of vanilla and bland. But we'll see what happens. I could be wrong on that note, but then we see Rondale Moore, another guy I'm just not a big fan of. I'm sizist, I guess. I just don't. He wasn't able to stay real healthy in college. Opted in, opted out. Reverse that, but just I don't know. I'm not big on Moore. I'm not big on Smith. You see Amon-Ra St. Brown go shortly after. Not great draft capital, but he should have a good amount of opportunity. What that opportunity yields is a huge question mark. Terrace Marshall is somebody I've been seeing a lot of hype around, and I get it. He's reuniting with his coordinator in Joe Brady from college, and now in the pros, which is cool. But it's like, okay, you still have Robbie Anderson. You still have DJ Moore, obviously. Then you add Marshall into the mix. Maybe they start using the tight ends more with Ian Thomas and Dan Arnold. Doubt it. But at the end of the day, what's the volume there with Sam Darnold? Is it going to be good enough to really make him a huge value, or is it more going to be a situation of, he's the third receiving option, fourth receiving option at best behind CMC, not to mention him. But again, I just don't see the wild upside. And everybody's a huge fan of the narrative of, oh, he's back with his college coach. And it's like, okay, cool. But, Joe Brady was getting head coaching hype this year. So imagine another year later when, 5 more coaches get fired and Joe Brady is not going to say no again. I don't think he plans to be a lifetime coordinator. So for me, I just don't see I just don't see the real upside with Terrace Marshall. I like him as a prospect. I'm not against him as a prospect, but man, I just have a tough time getting behind that. Nico Collins is a solid pick. Kadarius Toney's fine. Um, oh, I get to get my guy Pork. Thanks, man. I love picking up Amari Rodgers in the third round of drafts. You can probably get him towards the middle of the third. I know Pork just went and grabbed his guy. I wish he was on to talk about him because I haven't been able to look up film on him. But I love grabbing Amari Rodgers late. Um, I was intrigued as in him as a prospect, but I wasn't over the moon about the guy. Um, but I think with going where he brings a unique skill set to Green Bay that they just don't have. He's a great all around kind of player. He's kind of gadgety in a way, but he's a guy who you can do bubble screens to the outside and he can run after the catch. He can play like a running back with the ball in his hands. Like a Debo-esque. That people are so hyped up on Debo. He plays that kind of skill set. So I think in that offense, if Rodgers is back at some point, Aaron Rodgers, we all hope he's back. I think he's somebody that can really thrive because, like I said, he brings a different skill set to that offense where, Alan Lazard just isn't that player. EQ just isn't that player. And that, he can kind of, play more the middle. He kind of be playing more of a Randall Cobb role, but he's more stocky and bulky than Randall Cobb was. So then we see Dwayne Eskridge go to Maddie. I've been informed that he set a Q, so he's at least, trying to help out. I know he's high in Eskridge solely because of the draft capital, and I can't blame him. Wasn't big on him as a prospect, but it is what it is. Cornell Powell from Kansas City, huge upside swing there. Right in this round, we're looking at a lot of upside. Chuba Hubbard, to me, he's a CMC handcuff. Maybe he gets some run, but I don't see him being a standalone value by any stretch. Ramondre Stevenson has been getting some hype out of camp, being compared to LeGarrette Blunt, whatever the pronunciation is. Tutu Atwell. Shocked. Bob doesn't like the guy who's really small. Stupid good draft capital though for a guy of that size. So I'm surprised to see him go. You could argue that the guys with good draft capital don't usually go this late. Davis Mills is a super interesting pick and somebody you should probably target at the end of your drafts. If Deshaun Watson does miss time, I wouldn't say he has a good shot to play, but Tyrod's going to get first shot for sure. He's already getting, the bulk of the snaps, and Mills just isn't really, he hasn't shown up much. But we'll see what Landland Van has to say with her final pick. But yeah, for the most part, I'll easily say that Jamar Chase has been the steal of the draft so far. Tylan Wallace, Chev goes and gets his guy, his early my guy from his one of his favorite rookie prospects from this season. I know he dug into Tylan Wallace a lot, but it's the same deal with me with Tylan Wallace as it was with Rashad Bateman. You can bring all these guys in, and it's not going to automatically increase the target share or the amount of targets available. What it does is, if anything, like I said, it stretches it. And for me, that's concerning. Then we look at, we'll take a look at the first round in total. Got sniped on Justin Fields. Super upset about that. Trevor Lawrence at the 1-2, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Najee Harris, Javonte Williams, who I like Javonte Williams. I loved him as a running back. I watched a lot of him and Michael Carter. I am a little concerned how early he garners a role in that backfield. And by role, I mean like a good role that's fantasy valuable. That's, you can plug the guy in and you're not super worried about him. He fits what Vic Fangio and Denver wants to do in their offense. They want to ground and pound. They want to keep the defense fresh. They want to occupy the clock. And he's a banger in short yardage situations. And he has some long speed too, but not a ton by any stretch. Then we have Kyle Pitts, which I would argue is a value even in non-tight end premium at the 1.7. I've seen him go. I've usually see him and Chase go before the second running back comes off the board in a lot of cases. So then we see Pitts, who, like I said, I think is a value. Travis Etienne come off the board next. Interesting player. I like him. I have a few shares. But again, it's going to be interesting to see how the timeshare between him and James Robinson pans out, and if it's really a timeshare or not. Then we see Devonta Smith come off the board. Like I said, I think he's a hell of a talent at the end of the day as a prospect. If you take away the size concerns, he's probably the best receiver in this class. What he was able to do with Mac Jones as his quarterback is nothing short of impressive. Then we see Mac Jones go off the board. We see Jamar Chase follow up that as the best value in the draft, in my opinion. Jalen Waddle, who I'm very curious to see how that wide receiver room shakes out. I do think he's already surpassed Preston Williams. I do think he'll surpass Will Fuller before long, especially, with Will Fuller's concerns. And I believe he's suspended still for at least the first couple games of the season. So there's that. Then we have Michael Carter, another snipe. Elijah Moore, back-to-back Jets going off the board. Trey Sermon's another good pick. I'm cooling off on him, and I see him being cooled off a lot on in the fantasy community with, again, just not a lot of news coming out of San Fran camp that I've seen. Rashad Bateman, you already heard my bid on him. Rondale Moore, same. Then we get to Kadarius. We'll just, Rondale Moore, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Terrace Marshall, Kadarius Toney, who I think is interesting. The draft capital is definitely something that he's going to get a lot of work, and he kind of fits that narrative of a player that people just don't really like, but would be the kind of person to pan out just because of the draft capital. I do think he has some raw talent, but I think being in New York with Daniel Jones is not going to help his case, so it'll be interesting to see how he pans out. Nico Collins could be a huge value. He has a shot to be the, I would say, wide receiver 1 there because Brandon Cooks is still a thing. Then we have Diami Brown, who has a shot to be the wide receiver 2 or 3, I'd argue, in Washington. Then we have Pat Freiermuth going off the board at the 2.11. Javian Hawkins, who knows, he could pan out in a big way. Smith Marset goes off the pork man. I get my guy Amari Rodgers at 3.2. Dwayne Eskridge, Cornell Powell, Kenneth Gainwell, who I'm not a fan of drafting. Personally, I don't think he's going to get a lot of work. Then you have Chuba Hubbard coming off again. I think he's more of I think he gets some work, but I don't think it'll be enough to be a standalone value. I think he's more of a handcuff. Ramondre Stevenson, he's a dart throw in that backfield. You got Tutu Atwell again, who he's the 4th wide receiver at best and probably specializing in kick returns. Davis Mills, interesting grab if you're desperate. If you have Deshaun Watson, worth a grab. Khalil Herbert, back up to Montgomery, who has been banged up. Tylen Wallace, and then to wrap it up, we have Brevin Jordan, who was, really, I think has really fallen since the draft with his poor draft capital. I'm going to Houston though. They don't. If Jordan Akins, they don't have a great tight end there to steal the limelight, really. So it'll be interesting to see if and how he pans out. They have Holly Waring, who I'm still hoping on and banging the drum for. That was the draft, everybody. Thanks so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Check out our other mock drafts. I'll have some links in the description, links on the screen, so on and so forth. Check those out. Check out our best ball drafts. Get on Underdog. Use promo code REWIND. You get a $25 kickback when you deposit for the first time. That's it from me. Have a good one.